But first, as Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis gears up to announce his 2024 presidential campaign next week, he's already positioning himself to the right of former President Donald Trump on a wide range of issues. This week, DeSantis boasted and said he was proud to sign his 6-week abortion ban into law, a clear shot at Trump, who has indicated that he thinks that kind of ban is too harsh. On guns, DeSantis signed a bill last month allowing Florida residents to carry concealed weapons without a permit, without any training, background checks. President Trump has faced skepticism from some gun rights supporters for his banning of bump stocks as president. And now, as Trump has defended the COVID-19 vaccines and their efficacy, DeSantis also pushing to permanently ban COVID-19 mandates. I'm not sure how relevant that is now, but I would have thought DeSantis would try to appeal to those who largely agree with Trump's policies but don't want Trump. Joining me now, Rick Leventhal, former senior correspondent at Fox News, now host of the podcast, The Rick and Kelly Show. He's also author of the book Chasing Catastrophe. Joe Pinion, he's a former U.S. Senate candidate who ran against Senator Chuck Schumer in New York on the Republican ticket. And Morgan Harper, former progressive Democratic candidate for Senate in Ohio and an attorney. Thanks to all of you for coming on. Appreciate it. All right, Joe, let me start with you. This seems sort of nuts to me, but maybe I'm just not in tune with the Republican Party.
Well, look, I think that Governor DeSantis clearly has a strategy, and it's two-pronged. Number one, I think he's doing his best to communicate with those legislators at the state level, from New Hampshire to even places like Kentucky. I think we saw a little bit of that when he came in late.
Right, that all makes sense to me, right? That makes perfect sense. Get to some of these key early states, right? Try and make contacts. Try and say to them, I'm a better vote than Trump. Right. But what's with this going to the right of Trump? I mean, is that really going to pick him up votes or just potentially lose him votes in the general election if he were to win?
I think, again, you have to be able to win the primary to even have a conversation about the general. And the reality is, as this field continues to swell, there is no one path to getting past President Trump in a world where Republicans have so many winner-take-all primaries. And so I think that's why you see him trying to figure out, even in the institutional way or also at the grassroots way, how does he find that pathway?
I think it's important that he is being clear and concise about his position on major issues. Whether you agree with him or not, he's being firm and he's being clear about where he stands, whereas former President Trump might waver a little bit. He might be a little vague about certain items,
So you think this is more about clarity than actually about politics?
Well, it's about policy, but it's also about clarity, and I think that's really important if you're running for president.
To me, what matters if you're trying to get through a Republican primary in this era is that you are engaging the base. And DeSantis is struggling to do that, it seems, from what we've seen so far. And he seems to think, by logic, that if he goes to the right of Trump, it's going to make him appeal more. And I just don't know that that's going to be true. I think it's much more about, are you exciting them? Do they feel like you're a fighter? Are we really going to rally behind you? And let's be honest, Trump is still having the advantage there.
Right, and that's the thing. I mean, Trump is so far ahead. And the thing to me that's been really amazing is it seems that the biggest boost to Trump was getting indicted by the Manhattan DA.
Yeah.
Right? Ever since he got indicted by the Manhattan DA, he has soared. Well, it was close.
People love a comeback story, don't they, Dan?
It was close going into it, and then he gets indicted by the Manhattan DA, and boom!
I don't know about you guys. I don't believe any polls anymore.
Any at all?
Well, we've seen how they can be so wrong.
Yeah.
Look, I think
they were pretty accurate, though, in 2020.
Well, I think to that point also, particularly when you talk about primary politics, we should be learning from the lessons of history. It's the state polls that matter, right? Even if you go back to Hillary Clinton in 2008 and again in 2016, I think, again, if there is a chink in president's armor, it is the fact that Iowa is wide open and that in this particular case where you have a pseudo-incumbent who is running, any person who wants to try to get past him has to go into Iowa and demonstrate that there is an appetite for somebody besides President Trump.
But it just seems to me he's unwilling to even attack Trump. It's like he's being so careful. He's tiptoeing. He doesn't want. I got to be careful not to say anything that might offend.
I agree. Look, I'm not a Republican. I don't know anything about Republican politics from a professional point of view. But I will say, as a resident of Ohio, Trump remains extremely popular. When DeSantis came, even on his so-called family's home turf of Youngstown, Ohio, he was not received very well. And I think this guy's going to struggle to get to that primary.
He's got an uphill battle for sure, just because Trump is so popular. And he can rally an audience like no one I've ever seen. Yeah. He's incredible in front of a crowd.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.